Welcome to my channel. Imagine walking into a world fair. Maybe you're excited to see the art, inventions, or learn about different cultures. But what if instead of all that, you saw human beings on display? Imagine being stared at like an animal in a zoo. That wasn't just science fiction. It was real life in the 1900s. From the 1890s to the 1930s, places like Europe and even the US did something really creepy. They put on shows called ethnological expositions. Instead of showing robots or cool gadgets, they showed people from Africa, Asia, and islands in the Pacific. These people had no idea why they were there or why people kept staring at them. Now, millions of people went to these exhibits. Some thought it was fun, like going to a zoo, while others felt bad. But the people running the shows didn't care. They said they were teaching people about different cultures, but really they were making money by humiliating and taking advantage of these people. Now here's the crazy part. The people in these zoos weren't kings or celebrities. They were ordinary folks who had their lives and homes taken away. And it wasn't just their bodies that were shown, it was also their cultures, traditions, and way of thinking. These weird zoos weren't a random thing. They popped up when Europeans had colonized many parts of the world. You see, colonialism is when a powerful country takes control of weaker ones, exploiting their resources and people. And rich European countries like France, Belgium, Germany, and Britain used these zoos to make people from their colonies seem less intelligent than them. They wanted to show how great they were by putting down other people. In 1889, the big Paris Fair drew huge crowds to its Negro village. More than 400 men, women, and children from Africa were put in a fake village with huts and trees. People paid admission to walk around and look at them. They watched Africans in traditional clothes doing everyday tasks and playing music. To the Africans, it was embarrassing and sad. They were like objects, nothing special. They were called wild men or uncivilized just because their skin was a different color. In Belgium, King Leopold II was super into showing off. He used these zoos to make himself look good and to tell people that his colony in the Congo was doing great. Don't forget, he treated the Congo terribly, making people work hard without pay, hurting them, and taking their stuff. So basically, he wanted to say, look how amazing I am by showing off how poorly others lived. One of the most well-known stories is about a man named Otabenga from the Congo. He was part of an exhibit at the 1900 for St. Louis World's Fair. When it ended, they didn't send him home, but kept him in a zoo. Can you imagine being locked up in a zoo after a fair just because of your skin color? At first, they kept him in the fairgrounds, but then moved him to the Bronx Zoo in New York. There he spent 2 years in a cage with chimpanzees. It was crazy. They called him the wild man of the Congo. Newspapers wrote wild things about him, saying he was a giant ape man. Thousands of people came to the zoo to check him out. It was like a circus. But think about how scary that was for Ota. He missed his family and friends. He didn't speak the same language as the people around him. And instead of feeling bad, many people laughed at him. They thought he was a monster or an animal, not a real person. He even tried to teach kids in the zoo about his culture, but they didn't care. After 2 years, a man from the Congo bought him and took him on tour. But no one wanted to buy things from him, probably because they already got their fill of seeing him in the zoo. So he lived in a small apartment in New York and worked at a tobacco factory. He was even in a movie, but not as an actor. They just used him as decoration. It's easy to think everyone just accepted these zoos. But many African American newspapers and church leaders spoke out against them. They called them horrible and said they hurt people and made them feel bad about themselves. Even the head of the American Humane Association said it was wrong to treat people like animals in a zoo. But sadly, these zoos kept happening, especially at colonial fairs. Some zoos even kept going until the 1950s. At these fairs, people were told they should be proud to be superior to others and it was okay to take advantage of them. For the people stuck in these zoos, it was very difficult. They were treated like monkeys in a zoo and it was painful and embarrassing. They couldn't be free and do what they wanted. They had to live according to the rules of the people running the zoos. Their way of dressing, talking, and behaving was seen as strange and many people wanted to mock them. They were not respected as individuals and were judged based on where they were from. This made them feel less than human. Many people now know that colonization was terrible and caused a lot of suffering. During this time, many people believed that some races were better than others and that it was okay to use and abuse those they considered inferior. Sadly, some people still think like this today. By understanding this dark period, we can do better now. We need to remember that all people are equal and important, regardless of where they come from. Sadly, these zoos happened only a few decades ago and remind us that progress isn't always easy. We must keep working towards a world where everyone is respected. These exhibits may be gone, but their legacy is complex. Many scholars argue that these exhibits helped spread racist ideas and stereotypes, which are still a problem today. For example, they portrayed Africans as uncivilized and backward, which led to negative stereotypes that continue to harm people of African descent. However, it's important to note that not everyone was fooled by these exhibits. Many people, especially African Americans, spoke out against them. They understood that these exhibits were not about education or cultural exchange. They were about profit and racism. So what can we learn from this dark chapter in history? Well, it's clear that we must reject racism and stereotypes in all forms. No one should be treated as a spectacle or be judged based on their race or origin. It's also crucial to remember that these exhibits were not just about ignorance or prejudice, they were also about power and control. Colonial powers used these exhibits to reinforce the idea that they were superior to other cultures and that it was okay to exploit and dominate them. We must challenge this idea and recognize the humanity and dignity of all people. Finally, it's essential to acknowledge the agency and resistance of those who were exhibited. Despite the horrific conditions and treatment, many people resisted in various ways. They refused to perform or participate in the exhibits. They also used their voices to speak out against the injustice and educate others. As we look back on this shameful chapter in history, let's remember the resilience and strength of those who were exhibited. Let's honor their memory by working towards a more just and equitable world. A world where everyone is celebrated for their unique contributions and where stereotypes and racism have no place. Ota Benga's life was cut short. He died by suicide in 1915, leaving behind a legacy of tragedy and injustice. His story is a stark reminder of the devastating impact of racism and the human cost of prejudice. Benga's tragic end is a haunting reminder of the urgency of confronting racism and challenging stereotypes. While these human zoos are gone, their legacy continues. They show us the dangers of racism and the importance of standing up against injustice. By remembering those affected by these exhibits, we can honor their stories and work towards a better future. Now, here's something to chew on. Do you think these human zoos are the reason why some folks still have racist views today? Or maybe they were more into it because of the money. Let us know what you think. Also, we've got plenty more videos to dive into. See you next time.